Welcome to another episode of The Velvet Hammer.
And here we go.
Okay. Well, the burning question of the day is hair gel.
I don't have hair gel, Lynn.
How do you get your hair to stick up like that?
It's because I'm naturally able to do it. My hair just spikes.
Your hair is
Really?
naturally spiky?
Kinda, when I cut it this short.
I see.
I had to put hair gel in my hair to get it to stay down on the top. And then I wear a hat when I walk to work. And so I just thought we could talk about hair gel. No.
Yeah.
No, we're going to talk about something much better than hair gel.
Yeah, much better than my hair gel.
Because Mike has thought of the topic.
Yeah, I have. And the topic is what, as, senior attorneys, is your relationship with artificial intelligence these days? And the reason I'm asking this was I was reading an article with Emma Grade, I can't pronounce her last name, but she was speaking on her podcast with Mark Cuban, and she was talking about how she feels like a 40-year-old woman when it comes to AI because she's got a bunch of people that work for her that use it, and it's been very effective, but she doesn't really know that much about it. And he said when he was talking to her that if you aren't embracing AI, you're fucked. That's like saying back in the day, I don't need to use a PC. I don't need to use the internet. I don't need to use a cell phone. If you're an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, start playing with it and get a sense for how it works, how to prompt. It becomes like having an entire staff of 1,000 business professors. Now, he has 60 different AI apps on his phone that she was talking about. So I wanted to know what you guys have been doing using AI and how you think you might be able to use it more effectively in the future.
It's a really good topic.
Such a good topic. I'm going to invoke many other people as I explain this. So I'll start.
That's fine.
Okay.
If we need to, I'll describe who they are.
So first of all, over the weekend, I told Loris, Loris, okay, it's your job to figure out this AI thing. Because if you don't figure it out, by the time in 10 years when we're 75, we're going to be getting scammed so badly. We're going to be like so out of touch. We are going to be so far behind. We are not going to be able to function in a modern society. And he said, well, I said, yeah, you should look up in ChatGPT. He goes, well, how do I get to ChatGPT? And I said, go to Google. And then he said, wait, should I download the app? So we spent 15 minutes talking about how to get to ChatGPT. Okay. I am personally more involved with AI than Loris is. But Loris is, my partner, my same age, and he's like, I don't see the applicability of it. Now, I said, well, as a lawyer, we're full of it. Well, we are full of it.
That statement can mean something else.
Number one, our code of ethics say that we have to be competent.
Yeah.
That inherent in that competency is that we have to be able to manage in the world, and we have to be able to do things reasonably and efficiently and well.
Yeah.
As contingency fee lawyers, we don't bill our clients by the hour, but imagine hourly lawyers that are billing their clients, the game of the hourly big business lawyers who, how are they going to survive when they start using AI and they can't, bring in hordes of lawyers to go through documents? Already, the practice of law has changed fundamentally, at least our practice, because of technology, but AI is changing it even further. So my use of AI is primarily telling other people to figure it out and then watching them do it, although I can use quite a bit of it. So I'll give you some examples. One is we get probably 50 calls, 40 or 50 calls a quarter, maybe more. Maybe it's more. It's at least 10 calls a week, so maybe 40 a month for people that have want us to look at their medical negligence cases. And to have a medical negligence case, you have to have a doctor say that this fell below the standard of care. And you have to understand medicine. You have to go look up the different procedure and then the pre-existing conditions and then all this stuff. And step number one is we can't even meet with someone about that until we get medical records. Once we get medical records, we used to have Cheryl here.
You had a specific
and Phil,
paralegal who would review those records.
and it would take months sometimes. And they have to do chronologies and all of this stuff. Okay, now we have an AI. What is it called? I don't want to say the word of it. We can do it inside of our own case management software, but we use a different
An outside
one.
AI.
Yeah, outside AI that can get it to us in.
Yeah.
You feed it in, and then it gets it back to you. And it isn't perfect, but for the intake process, it's perfect enough. We can really see, we can understand.
You then
get
have
the
all the stuff that could have
chronology.
taken months, and you're getting it.
Certainly, it would take months just because there's such a volume of it, and there's one person doing it or two people. Or a lot of companies, a lot of lawyers that did a higher volume even than us, they would send it out to, they wouldn't do it in-house. They would have some other person.
They would
do
have
it.
an independent
Yeah,
nurse or
contractor.
something. Yeah.
And the thing is, for medical negligence, like maybe you might take one every couple months. You're not going to, it's like 100 of them you'll go through and you'll take one because they're very difficult. And a bad outcome doesn't mean there's medical negligence. You have to really prove that it fell below the standard of care. So that's one example. But we use those medical summaries and other things like our own cases to help us at least get a timeline or figure out. You can go in there and pull out like all the doctors, which we have to use in disclosure of witnesses. You still have to go back. But the fact of the matter is that it's there in some kind of an order, more or less correct.
Yeah.
Is a good thing.
Yeah.
Second thing we look at it in is Adobe has AI now. Same thing. You can pull stuff from there. You can do all kinds. You can get summaries. We use AI in Teams, which is our meetings. I can do a lot of this, which is you can use it's connected to Zoom and Teams, where you can hit the summary and create a summary afterwards. So you don't have to take verbatim notes. It takes the verbatim transcript, but then it can convert it into a summary if you missed a meeting. And then our case management software has AI in it, which we've just been starting to figure out how to work with. We use Smokeball. Its AI person is Archie. And if you put in all the data, Jamie in our office can answer interrogatories with it. Again, not 100%. She goes back and looks at it.
You have to review it afterwards, but that's
Everything.
what everybody has to do with AI
Yeah.
right now for most of the stuff.
All of the lawyers have Westlaw. We do have Westlaw AI. We're paying the extra for the AI version. I do it both ways because I don't trust it yet. So I do it the regular old, Westlaw way, which I'm pretty antiquated in. I can do it even pre-Westlaw. I practiced before there was Westlaw on the computers. But you can do it the Westlaw way, and then you can do it the AI way, which I think most people here do to compare it, to see which version. AI, I still am not comfortable with the fact that I get what I need out of it, but sometimes I get stuff that I don't get the other way. So it's like two different ways, which is a good thing for lawyers to do because we don't want to really miss anything, is to have more than one way to get stuff. What I don't do is use AI to write. But there's people in the office that do on certain things. For example, Brad uses AI to prompt him on blogs. He likes it. And then he goes in and he works with it from there. He just kind of gets hey, I'm interested in this idea, and they'll give him, it's like a starting, he calls it like it's a starting place. Mo uses it to correct his tense after he's finished writing it. But both Mo and I are pretty prolific writers. I'm uneasy with having it write for me because I like writing. I like my brain connecting, and I do it really fast. But it's not always perfect, so I probably will eventually use it to correct my grammar. However, The problem with me is that I intentionally am not grammatical a lot of the time because I like to write as I speak, which, like, I can have a sentence be 1 or 2 words, which it wouldn't like. So until I can train that, I'm not happy with it. And I can go on and on. We are using it more and more. We have I actually asked at our last meeting, attorney meeting, management meeting, I want to have an AI seminar for the law firm, not seminar, but presentation, and probably will be quarterly, if not every other month, as this process is continuing, which could be for the next many years, because we need to keep everybody with AI front and center. It was the single biggest talked about subject at American Association for Justice annual convention over the summer. There's so many vendors doing it, so many legal vendors, and you go from one to the next to the next. And my question is, well, how are you going to be here next year? Right? Who are you going to merge with? Because ultimately, it's a constant evolution and revolution. And then the final thing I want to say about AI, before I turn it over to Mo, is that you can't ignore it. If you do, you can't work at this office, which is a harsh thing to say. You can't not know tech. You can't not be familiar with anything like this and work in an office like this anymore. We have to evolve. We're at our 80th anniversary, and it's
adapt or die.
Thank you. I think that should be our new tagline: adapt or die. But there is one last thing, which is I read some article. I think it was on McKinsey, the biggest consulting company in the world. And they had let go about 20,000, which they said that was normal for them, or not surprising. But what I thought was very interesting was that they have deployed about 12,000 at the time, which I'm sure is way more now, AI assistants. This is what I'm most interested in, is I want an AI assistant. I want them to help schedule. The fact that our paralegals have to spend hours every day scheduling especially when we have big cases and there's 10 lawyers on a case. Do you know how long it is to schedule anything?
Oh, I do.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, AI assistant. I predict that everybody will have an AI assistant in the next so many periods of time. All of us. You're going to have one. You're going to have one. I'm going to have one.
Yeah. It's like the science fiction movies where everyone has a computer in their house that they talk to. It's getting there now.
I'm going to name mine Jacqueline.
You've already got it named. Okay, Mo,
Jacqueline.
your turn.
Jackie
Okay.
for short.
So
Is yours going to be named Jacqueline too?
yeah, maybe, yeah. So I'm not worried about AI, and because.
And you're 20 years younger than me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you why. A couple of things. One, I would take you back to when the motor vehicle revolution, where there was a ton of cars being developed.
Wait a minute, you were not alive back then.
Just hear me out. I'm going to tell you a little history and then go to when I was alive. Okay, I was not alive, but I'm talking about the 50s and 60s when everybody started to make cars. Mm-hmm. If you go back and do a little reading about what happened then, so many cars were produced that were duds. But it was a huge revolution. Everybody was like, I'm going to make the next best car, and it was going to revolutionize everything, and we're all going to move faster, and it's going to change everything, and people were concerned. And
and people were against it, too. There was the backlash. I mean, there were crazy laws when cars first came out where if you came to an intersection, you had to honk your horn for a certain amount of time, sometimes pull out a shotgun and shoot it in the air. Crazy stuff like that.
So then there was the dot-com boom when I was getting out of high school. I was, oh my God, everything's going to come to an end in 2000, and it's all going to crash. And I just remember the market was saturated with startups and people with all kinds of ideas, this and that. And then it just settled down, and then,
I don't know that I call it settling down, but yeah, the bubble burst and everything kind of fell apart there for a
But
while.
the world didn't come to an end.
No.
And so with AI, I anticipate the same thing. The big difference is that what AI is doing that is a serious problem is that it is robbing people of the opportunity to critically think, and which is a lost art, which is the process of saying, I have a problem, or I have an issue, and figuring out your own path of working through the issue, even though it takes a long time. That process of working through that teaches you certain things about relating with people, about talking to people that you just you can't. And I only say that because I'm a poet. Like, this is a big one for me when I like read and write, is that I have asked AI to write poems for me. I go, write a poem for me. And it like produces a poem. I go, interesting. But you can tell that it's there, that it is just a bunch of words kind of spit out. But sometimes the damn thing puts something out and I go, that's pretty damn good. That's a nice poem. But then I want to talk to the poet and ask them, hey, talk to me about what you were thinking and feeling when you went through selecting these words, and tell me a little bit more behind, give me more depth. There's no one there. It's an AI machine.
No, it's just programming at that point.
Yeah. To me, they're like the part of the love of life is like interacting with a human being about process and being in relationship. That's true in law. I mean, Darcy and I.
Wait.
I mean, I'm not finished.
Don't go to Darcy.
No, because we had a really good process oriented about working out a legal issue and talking about it and like going back and forth and engaging and discussing, whereas AI could have easily answered our legal question quite quickly. So I just think that...
Let me just say here, again, we're 20 years apart.
Yeah.
And he's got an old person's mindset.
He does.
Let me tell you why. This is what it
And
says.
that's what I like to call the fear of change.
When
I'm not worried
I
about
was a
change.
child, I walked 15 miles and stuff. Okay, let me give you a profound difference here. Okay, when I graduated from law school and was a young lawyer, when I wrote a brief, well, we had a lot of books here, but I didn't work here as a young lawyer. I had to go to the law library. I had to go downtown to the law library, King County Superior Court, which often would not have all my books, and I would then have to go to the UW Law Library. I had carts. I had to pull the book, see these books, I had to pull them physically off the shelves, maybe 15, 20 at a time, move them to my desk. Then I had a separate book for shepherdizing to make sure that it was up to date. Yeah. Then I would take those books back and then get the shepherdized books. I would spend days in there.
I'll take you even further. How did you find all of those books at the library?
Index.
Yeah, they don't have that anymore. Most millennials don't even know what that is.
Yeah. So when people got to Westlaw, which I just talked about, in its before AI form, I thought they will never, we always said, they will never know the rigor of what we used to have to go through, which is true. However, as an older person who has gone up through and is learning, the thing about the human spirit is its resilience and its interest in continuing on. Once, and I don't want to say that it's mundane, because a lot of it was, I didn't think it was mundane, but when you have a technology like this that's going to elevate you up, fighting against it, all it's going to do is keep you down. A critical thinker now is going to be a critical thinker with AI. A non-critical thinker now is going to be leveled up a little bit. It'll be better for humanity because those people weren't able to critically think as well as other critically thinking people. But it is not going to disappear anything.
My experience has been that the art of critical thinking is being lost, and it's not just like
it was lost
the
a long time ago.
No, it's not just the engineering of an answer through the thought process and reflection, the Socratic method, deliberation. It's the loss of...
What do we need it for?
What
do we need critical thinking for?
It's the loss of emotional intelligence. It's the loss of relationship. It is the loss of human-to-human interaction. That is the risk I think that the technology presents. Is that that's fine. I use the technology. it does make my life easier in many respects.
Okay, so is this what we're going to do, Mike? You're going to go, okay, you and Deborah are having an argument, and you're going to say, just a second, I need a moment. And you're going to run to the bathroom, pull out your phone, and go, hey, ChatGPT, she said this. What should I say now? And then you're going to run back in and say, hey, Deb, and you're going to give her the answer. And then she's going to, hey, just a second. She's going to run over. She's going to go to the library, and she's going to say, hey, ChatGPT.
No,
Mike said this. What should I say
ridiculous.
now?
No, this is.
Let Mike answer. I asked Mike.
No. Mike's a musician.
You got to let Mike answer.
No, Mike.
Is that what's going to happen?
Well, see, from what Mo was saying and from what you were saying, my reference to the index card as the way that you searched for something at the library, that became the search engine. Now, most libraries, everything's online. You can use a search engine to find it. You can use Google to find the library that you're looking for. That is where what Mo's talking about started. It slowly, bit to bit, went from when you had to think more about what you were doing. You had to find a way to find what you were finding, and you had to read and you had to think to be able to do that. Now, people just this is before AI was actively being used. People were using Google like it, and people were using Alexa like it, and people were using Siri like it, and they were taking away some of what they had to do and replacing it with a computer doing the job for them. Then we had the pandemic, and the personal, physical interaction between people became lost. And we're still recovering from that now.
Yes.
But at the same time, we're in a new age. We are in the cusp of the technology age where AI is almost there. It's not really there yet, but it's almost there. And because it's almost there, there's way more tools than we used to have that people can use. And like Karen said, 5 years from now, you're going to have an AI assistant, and you're going to be talking with it like it's a real person. And you're going to be having it take care of lots of day-to-day stuff. So will all the businesses. If robots are around, my job will be gone. Already you mentioned the medical paralegal and the regular paralegals wanting to replace parts of their job with AI. Well, when it comes, the rest of their job is going to be taken away as well.
Okay.
And for me, I'm not trying to make that broad argument right now. That will be a reality.
Yes.
Not across the board, but eventually it will be across the board, because the easier stuff gets, the more that society wants to use it. And that's why Mark Cuban's using AI so much right now, because it takes away the need for the people that he used to have to rely on and can now rely on all information coming from the computer.
You say that, and I think to myself, I go, Mark Cuban is the authority in that podcast because Mark Cuban is wealthy.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And then so I think like...
He's a major entrepreneur.
Major entrepreneur. And to me, that's not a reflection of who I look at to be the leader of where society ought to go next, right? And I think that maybe we're kind of venturing into like, hey, what's the ethics around this? That the reason we don't act like animals anymore is that we've become a civilized society. The reason we've become a civilized society is that we understand that we have to cooperate with one another, and we cooperate through relationship. And my only concern with the technology is that it is destroying relationship with human to human. And so, like, I think that you're right. Everybody's going to rely on the damn thing, but they're going to be damn alone, right? You're going to go walk around. Yeah, I use the map to find my way directionally to everywhere I go. But not having a map and thinking through your journey, I got to get to this location. Getting lost, laughing about getting lost, when you don't know where a person's house is and you're talking about it, and she keeps telling you, hey, my house is here, and we laugh, there is like stuff that's going to be lost. And that's just my concern. I'm not like an alarmist about technology.
Well, you sound like it. I mean, to me, I do. I like the good old days. I mean, my kids were so lucky they got to be raised without cell phones because there was no such thing. You know, my own kids. I look at it, I tend to, I'm a glass half full person. So when I look at it, I'm looking at there's more time for other things. There's going to be, there is, so for example, the paralegal that doesn't have to make phone calls or do medical record summaries to the extent that they used to is going to be able to, well, sorry, but, talk more to the client, do more different kind of stuff.
Are they? Because I could totally see an AI doing the intakes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I can
true.
see an AI doing the intakes
There's
and
probably such a
answering
thing.
any phone calls, which probably won't be phone calls at that point. It will just be communications between AI programs. I can easily see the AI taking care of almost everything that most of the staff in this building does. HR, easily taken care of. Office management, easily taken care of.
Well, we're going to have to put this podcast in a time capsule and see what happens in 5 years or 10 years. But to me, again, half glasses half full, I'm looking at the possibilities for medicine.
Oh,
I'm
if
looking
it goes
at
where we're
innovation.
talking about, having an AI manage a hospital would greatly advance the medical field. But the medical field has a standard of care just like attorneys do. And at
Ethics.
which point do you hand that over to a machine?
Yeah.
Well, I meant medical innovation, research, science. I think that the applications for AI, weather predictions, just how do you, how are you advancing society? Not how are you maintaining it. I think how are you maintaining it, it's going to be insidious. It's going to be all over. And we're going to be different. Every year we're going to be different than we were the year before. And it's not just America. It's all
this is the whole world.
Well, and the specific
humanity in general.
in general, and hopefully it will be able to help countries that are, don't have the financial resources and are struggling. I hope it will. But I think that in reality, there's going to be a very disparate impact on it. But yeah, it is a very interesting topic. Most people, I think, are resigned to it. Many people are like, Mo, who see the negatives more than the positives.
I see the positives. All I am is
What's a positive, Mo?
The positive about AI, it is that it is going to revolutionize industrial models of helping people raise the standard of living. Like what you just said, third world countries.
I just said that.
Yeah,
But
it
you
is
have
going
to
to
come
do
up with
that.
something new.
The
Come up
other
with something-
aspect is that it is going to make our economy more efficient. It is going to make it more efficient because you're going to be spending less money on things that you would otherwise spend more money for the cost of the labor. That just makes things better. It frees up the economy to innovate and do other things.
How are people going to work?
Well,
Yeah, how are people going to make money? Like people like me. How am I going to make money?
that is going to be a significant challenge in transitioning the economy. But that was true when the .com boom happened.
But you know what's different?
But
They weren't taking away jobs at that point.
But what's different for you than many people?
What's that?
For everyone in here? Well, he's a young one. Our age.
Well, I know. I was going to say. I
We
don't have
have
to worry
some
about it.
comfort, right?
I don't have to worry about it because once all this stuff has really gone down, I'm going to be close to the end of my life.
yeah,
Unless AI somehow manages to extend everyone's
Yeah.
lives, which I think is absurd.
But
because
the law firm is primarily, I don't even know what that. I guess we have a lot of younger.
we're on the upper side, and there's not
For
that
staff.
many of us left.
Yeah. So, which is and yeah, that's true. But that I think is a generational issue.
Oh,
of
yeah, for sure.
Huge concern. I have grandchildren. I'm like, they're going to grow up completely different than even their parents did. I think that I think that me and my children, that was a big separation, right? But them and their children, even though they're the same age apart, it's going to be exponentially different. The good thing about all of this is that if you just stay connected to people,
yes, that's the most important.
The generations have to stay connected. There's all these articles, about what the Gen X or Gen Z or Gen A or whatever they are think about, the boomer, blah, blah, all this divisive stuff. But really the generations need to build a lot of bridges.
But it's really tough right now for that. I mean, we're getting way off topic, but that's a tough thing because, we've generally the people who are in control of everything are the oldest.
Oh,
and
it's
they
crazy.
also have the least skin in the game, just like we said. With AI, what I'm talking about doesn't matter because I'm already going to be out of the workforce once it's really kicked into gear. Like we said, right now, it's just an easier way for me when I search on Google or Edge at the top. It's now got a little AI part that tells you generally what you were searching for.
Yeah.
Other programs that I use are using AI, like you mentioned Adobe. I use Adobe Premiere for editing this stuff. And I can plug it into Adobe Premiere and say, make a transcript of this whole thing so we can have captioning on it. And it'll do it in, 10 minutes or something like that. That used to take forever.
Oh my
you had
God,
to use a
yes.
different program, or you had to do it ahead of time, or you had to have a outside company do it or something like that.
For Mike, this is what used to happen. Get the deposition. I take a deposition with a video. And then I would, the court reporter would give us a transcript. Then we would get the tape from the videographer because I would want him to just pull excerpts. And then I would go into the deposition and this is at the very beginning, I would manually highlight it with a yellow highlighter. This is before Adobe Pro. And then he would take that and then he would get the video and then
I would go through, fast forward and reverse until I found the phrase that she was talking about, and then use that to edit that part out, and then repeat that process for everyone that she had asked for, which sometimes could be quite a few, which could take sometimes days, depending on how, if it was a multi-hour one.
For trial.
And then you would end up with 20, 30 clips that you take to trial, and sometimes I'd have to do further editing on those.
Yeah.
Now, I could plug that stuff in and you guys can say that and I can just look at it and then I can remove it.
Yeah.
I don't have to leave it on.
Yeah. Well, Mike, you started this whole thing on AI.
I think it's interesting. You mentioned that, Mo's the youngest one in the room and he seemed to have a little bit of apprehension on it because he believes it's going to cause a lack of interaction between humans, which you're probably right about.
Yeah.
Karen, you think that it's essential and that everyone should learn it. And that's been you since I've known you. You've always, like you've said, you've always wanted to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to technology. And AI is the next curve to follow. And it's quickly, I have another friend who's been working for the last 2 years to start a new company that helps with sync licensing for music, for commercials and movies and TV and stuff. And it's, the company that they started, it'll be so, like if, say, we wanted to get some music for the podcast as an intro, we could go and you could say, I want something that sounds legal, but with a soft hand and a female viewpoint. And it will pop out 5, 10, however many songs you ask for that you can then listen to that fit that description. You could put any phrase in.
Wow.
And it'll do that.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing because, for sync licensing before, it was a weird company that you had to send a letter to in Los Angeles or New York. And then they would write back to you and tell you what the cost of it was going to be for you to put it on your record. And I mean, now it's even different because with licensing for the internet, it gets even more confusing. Well, a company like that's going to make it simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think there's no choice but to use AI, much like your analogy of when cars started. I think people had to give in to the fact that cars were going to make transportation easier than it had been before, faster, more efficient. The ability to move goods across the United States was now much easier than it had been before. AI is the same thing. It's gonna, while it's going to take away jobs, like I do fully believe that, and I think that that is one of the most important issues that need to be discussed on a governmental level, which they are all freaking ignoring right now.
Yeah.
And I think that people that don't use it, just like everyone else, are going to be behind and are going to be confused in the new society that's created by this, because everywhere you go, there's going to be an AI talking to you. And everyone that you know is probably going to be using AI to manage their lives. Like Karen said, it's going to be a lot easier if you could just look at your phone and say, make an appointment for me at this time, or hey, can you get a reservation at this restaurant? Or hey, I got to go to the doctor. But I don't know which one to go to. Can you find me one? I mean, heck, every time that I'm looking for doctors on my insurance plan, sometimes it takes me days to figure out what I'm looking for. And AI do that in seconds, or even faster than that. And I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to use that. But I think everything's moving really fast, and we should be taking a little bit more baby steps in that, because we've got several major companies that are all competing with each other for AI, and I guarantee at some point they're all going to merge into one thing. Because once the AIs really start working, they're going to eat each other until there's just one.
Time capsule.
Yeah. I'll tell that to future Mike.
Future Mike.
We'll see what happens then.
Well, that's all for today.
Until next time.